Imagine that at this very moment, there is a man thinking about you. He cannot get your face out of his mind. Your name appears in his thoughts several times a day, and even if he tries to hide it, or perhaps he cannot even admit it to himself, his body, his gestures, and his energy have already revealed everything. He is completely emotionally involved, but you don't perceive it. Why? Because you have been programmed to look for words and promises, when in reality, true male desire is hidden in a silent code that few women manage to decipher. Carl Jung, one of the most important psychologists of all time, discovered something astonishing about the male mind. When a man truly loves a woman, his unconscious enters a state he cannot control, manifesting involuntary signals that are impossible to fake. The great tragedy is that 93% of women completely misinterpret these signals, confusing genuine interest with fleeting games, or worse, completely ignoring a man who is deeply in love, simply because they do not know the hidden language of male desire. Have you ever felt that strange sensation, that instinct that something doesn't add up when a man says he's interested, but his actions tell a different story? Or maybe the opposite. He has never verbalized his feelings clearly, yet something inside you knows that there is a deep connection. It's not a coincidence. It's not your imagination. It's your unconscious picking up signals that your conscious mind cannot process. What I am about to reveal today is not seduction techniques or manipulative tricks. It is something much deeper. The truth about what happens in a man's mind when he meets a woman who awakens in him not just physical desire, but a connection that transcends the rational. There is a pattern, a secret language in a man's gestures, glances, silences, and attitudes when he is truly emotionally involved. And once you learn to read these signals, you will never again be deceived or confused about a man's true intentions. The problem is that most women are looking in the wrong places. They are waiting for grand actions when they should be observing the small details that reveal everything. Jung discovered that within every man exists the archetype of the lover, a powerful force that, when activated, completely transforms his behavior in ways he himself does not understand. It is not something he can fake. It is an instinctive, primal response, deeply rooted in the deepest layers of the male unconscious. What I am about to share with you can completely change the way you see the men in your life. It will reveal truths that you may have already sensed intuitively, but never fully understood. Pay close attention, because these signals are subtle but unmistakable. A man may try to hide, he may try to rationalize, but his body and actions will always reveal the truth about his feelings. The difference between a man who only feels physical attraction and one who is emotionally involved is vast. One disappears when difficulties arise, the other becomes even more present. One keeps you in cycles of doubt and anxiety, the other creates stability and security. One is only interested in the moment, the other already sees you in his future. And these differences manifest through specific behaviors that Jung identified in his studies of the human psyche. Behaviors that I am going to reveal to you today so that you never again have to guess what a man truly feels. The knowledge I'm about to share is not found in conventional self-help books. It is not part of common conversations about relationships. It is deep knowledge based on the understanding of male psychology that few people have access to. Are you ready for a revelation that could completely transform your love life? Before continuing with this revelation that will change your perception of men forever, I want you to do something simple right now. Comment below the word perception to show me that you are truly interested in discovering the truth behind male behavior. This comment is not just a form of interaction. When you write this word, your brain unconsciously prepares to absorb the powerful information I'm about to share. It is like activating a key in your mind that will open the doors to deep understanding. This knowledge is too valuable to be absorbed without proper preparation. The word perception is the first step in unraveling the mysteries of the male mind that Carl Jung discovered after years of deep study of the human psyche. Did you comment? Great. Now I am ready to reveal what happens in a man's unconscious when he truly falls in love with a woman. Get ready, because what comes next will completely change the way you see relationships. Have you ever stopped to think about why some women seem to naturally attract male commitment? While others find themselves trapped in endless cycles of superficial relationships, the answer is not in physical appearance, nor in what they consciously say or do. It lies in something much deeper: the ability to recognize and respond to the unconscious signals a man emits when he is truly emotionally involved. Carl Jung, after decades of studying the human psyche, discovered that male behavior is governed by forces far beyond conscious control. For Jung, there are universal patterns of behavior that he called archetypes, primitive images inherited from humanity's collective past that shape the way we feel, think, and act. And one of the most powerful archetypes in the male mind is the lover archetype. When this archetype is activated in a man's unconscious, something extraordinary happens. He is not just interested or attracted, he is profoundly connected on a level that transcends rationality. It is as if something inside him awakens, something ancient and powerful that completely transforms the way he acts, even without him consciously realizing what is happening. The problem is that modern society has taught men to hide their emotions from a very young age. Men don't cry. Be strong. Don't show weakness. These messages are repeated to boys from childhood, creating a barrier between what they feel and what they express verbally. That is why many men, even when they are deeply in love, struggle to verbalize their feelings. But Jung discovered something fascinating: the body never lies. While the conscious mind can censor and control words, the unconscious manifests through physical and behavioral signals that are practically impossible to fake. This is where the secret lies, in the silent language of the body and actions that very few women know how to interpret correctly. Think of a man you know who seems to send confusing signals. Maybe he says he's interested, but disappears for days. Or maybe he never talks about his feelings, but is always present when you need him. Which one is truly emotionally involved? Words can deceive, but actions never lie. There is a biological and psychological reason for this. Recent neuroscience studies confirm what Jung had already suspected. When a man is genuinely in love, his brain releases a unique combination of neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. These directly affect his behavior, creating patterns that he himself cannot consciously control. For example, dopamine is responsible for the sensation of reward and pleasure. When a man is truly involved, his brain associates your presence with this neurotransmitter, creating an almost addictive need to be near you. It is not something he decides rationally. It is a chemical response that drives him to seek your company, even when other priorities compete for his attention. Oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone, is released during moments of physical and emotional connection. This neurotransmitter literally creates a biochemical bond, making the man feel an instinctive need to protect, care for, and stay close. It is not a coincidence that a genuinely involved man displays protective behaviors. It is his biology responding to a deep emotional bond. The question is, how can you differentiate between a man who is only physically attracted and one who is emotionally committed? How do you separate those who only say what you want to hear from those who truly feel something deep? Jung developed the concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem connected, but not through obvious causes. When a man is truly connected to you, synchronicities begin to occur. He calls you just when you were thinking about him. You both discover unexpected connections in your lives. You seem to be naturally synchronized, as if an invisible force were aligning your paths. Many women ignore these subtle signs, focusing only on the obvious. They wait for grand declarations of love or public displays of affection, when in reality true male commitment is revealed in small daily gestures, almost imperceptible choices, glances that last a second longer than normal. Imagine you are talking in a group and casually mention a book you read years ago. Weeks later, he brings up that exact book in a conversation. That is not a coincidence. It is a sign that your words have been recorded in his mind, that you occupy a privileged space in his thoughts. Jung would call this psychic presence. When someone inhabits our thoughts, even when they are not physically present. The biggest mistake many women make is confusing sexual interest with deep emotional connection. Physical attraction is instantaneous, based on chemistry and appearance. But an emotional bond is built slowly, layer by layer, manifesting in consistent behavioral patterns that often go unnoticed. A man can feel desire for multiple women simultaneously, but when he is emotionally involved with one, his focus shifts. He begins to see her not just as a source of physical pleasure, but as an integral part of his life, his future, and his identity. It is a deep transformation that affects all his decisions, even those that seem unrelated to the relationship. Jung believed that each person carries within them an unconscious image of the ideal partner, which he called anima for men and animus for women. When a man finds someone who corresponds to his anima, something powerful happens. He feels complete, as if he had found a missing part of himself. This connection transcends physical attraction or social compatibility. It is a resonance at the level of the soul. The fascinating part is that this connection does not need to be verbalized to be real. In fact, many men feel such a deep connection that words seem inadequate to express it. That's why they resort to actions, gestures, and nonverbal language that speak directly to their unconscious. The big question that arises is, what are those specific actions? How can you clearly identify the signs of genuine emotional involvement? What exactly does a man do when he is completely in love, beyond what he says he feels? There is a pattern, a sequence of behaviors that Jung identified in his studies on love and desire. Behaviors that are practically universal, that transcend cultures and time periods, because they are rooted in the collective male unconscious. These signs cannot be faked, because they emerge from the deepest layers of the psyche. These signals fall into three main categories, which I will reveal next. They are behaviors that indicate not just momentary attraction or interest, but genuine emotional involvement, the kind that has the potential to last and deepen over time. The most surprising thing is that many men are unaware of these behaviors. They act driven by internal forces that they themselves do not fully understand. It is as if something inside them compels them to act in certain ways when they find that special woman who activates their lover archetype. We have now reached the crucial point of this revelation. Now I will share the definitive signs that show when a man is truly in love, based on Carl Jung's studies on the male unconscious. These are not behaviors that can be easily faked or maintained by someone who does not feel a genuine connection. They are involuntary manifestations of the unconscious, revealing what is truly happening in the deepest layers of the male mind. The first and most powerful sign is in the eyes. Jung discovered that the eyes are literally the window to the soul, and when a man is emotionally involved, his way of looking at you completely changes. It is not just a look of desire, though that is also present. It is a look of deep recognition, as if he is seeing beyond your physical appearance, connecting with your essence. Modern science has confirmed what Jung already suspected. When we are in front of someone with whom we feel a deep connection, our pupils dilate involuntarily. This is a reflex controlled by the autonomic nervous system, impossible to fake. A man can say anything with his mouth, but his eyes will always reveal the truth. He maintains eye contact for longer than normal, as if he were trying to memorize every detail of your face. Even in a crowded environment, his eyes constantly seek yours, like a compass always finding north. The most revealing moment is when he watches you without realizing you're noticing. Perhaps you catch him looking at you when he thinks you don't see him. He watches how you interact with others, how you smile, how you move. It's not an invasive or uncomfortable stare. It's a gaze of genuine fascination, as if every movement of yours were a work of art that he can't help but admire. The second telling sign is how he manages his time and space. Jung discovered that when we are emotionally connected to someone, we unconsciously rearrange our lives to include that person. A truly committed man does this naturally, without realizing how revealing it is. This behavior starts with him creating space in his life for you, not out of obligation, but out of an internal need. He adjusts his schedule, modifies plans, reorganizes priorities, all to be present when you need him, or simply to spend more time together. He doesn't disappear for days without explanation. He's not too busy to respond to messages. He doesn't cancel plans at the last minute without a genuine reason. Even more significant is how he manages his physical space. Jung observed that we tend to reduce the physical distance between ourselves and the people we feel a deep connection with. An emotionally involved man will be magnetically attracted to your personal space. His body naturally aligns towards you during group conversations. His feet point towards you. He finds subtle ways to decrease the distance between you two, not invasively, but as if an invisible gravity pulls him toward you. Also notice how he reacts to your touch, even if it's casual. A touch on the arm, a greeting hug. Those brief moments reveal a lot. Neuroscience studies show that touch between two emotionally connected people releases oxytocin at much higher levels than between strangers. This chemical response is involuntary and manifests through subtle signals: pupil dilation, slight blushing of the skin, changes in breathing, increased body temperature. These are almost imperceptible details, but they reveal a truth that words could never express. The third sign, and perhaps the most powerful, is in selective memory. Jung discovered that our unconscious constantly filters information, retaining only what it considers meaningful. An emotionally involved man develops an almost photographic memory for details related to you, details that other people would simply overlook or forget quickly. He remembers conversations you had weeks ago. He recalls preferences you mentioned casually. He notices when you change something in your appearance, a new haircut, a different piece of clothing. These are not pieces of information that he consciously works to memorize. His brain registers them automatically because you've become a priority in his mental processing system. This phenomenon is particularly revealing when he mentions something you said in the past that even you had forgotten. Perhaps a dream you shared, a fear you confided in him, a childhood memory you briefly mentioned. When this happens, it's not because he's trying to impress you. It's because that information has really lodged itself in his mind, occupying a privileged space in his memory. The fourth revealing sign is emotional vulnerability. Jung believed that the true connection between two people only happens when both lower their defenses and reveal who they truly are. Men are conditioned from a young age to hide their emotions, to appear strong and unbreakable. When a man begins to share his insecurities, fears, dreams, and failures with you, he is doing something extraordinarily rare. He is lowering the shield that protects him from the world. This vulnerability does not necessarily manifest in grand emotional confessions. It can appear in subtle moments, when he shares a concern about work, when he reveals a dream he has never told anyone, when he lets you see a part of himself that he usually keeps hidden from others. It is as if he is saying, without using words, "I trust you enough to show you who I really am." The fifth sign is in how he integrates you into his social circle. Jung noticed that we incorporate into our identity the people with whom we feel a deep connection. A truly involved man wants you to be part of every aspect of his life, not just the intimate moments alone. He introduces you to his closest friends, talks about you with his family, includes you in important celebrations, family traditions, and gatherings with significant people in his life. He does not hide your existence from anyone important to him. On the contrary, he speaks about you with almost palpable pride, as if your presence in his life were a valuable achievement he wants to share with the world. The sixth and revealing sign is how he projects the future. Jung discovered that our perception of time is deeply influenced by our emotional bonds. A man who is emotionally invested naturally begins to visualize a future in which you are present. Even if you are still in the early stages of the relationship, he makes long-term plans that naturally include you. He talks about future trips, events happening months ahead, as if it were obvious that you would still be together at that time. It is not pressure or an imposition. It is a natural inclusion, as if the idea of a future without you does not even cross his mind. Even more revealing is when he talks about his life projects, his ambitions and dreams, and you realize that in some way, he has already placed you in that picture. He may mention what the ideal house for both of you would be like, or how he would love to show you his hometown one day. These are not empty promises or manipulations. They are genuine glimpses of how he already sees you as an integral part of his journey. The seventh sign, identified by Jung as one of the most powerful, is the instinct of protection. This is not about control or possessiveness, but about genuine concern for your physical and emotional well-being. This behavior is deeply rooted in the male unconscious and manifests in surprisingly subtle ways. He shows authentic concern when you face difficulties. He offers help, not to show off or earn points, but because he genuinely cannot bear to see you suffer. He is attentive to changes in your mood, noticing when something is wrong even before you mention it. He anticipates your needs, not out of obligation, but because your well-being has become a priority in his value system. Jung explained that this protective behavior arises from what he called the guardian complex, a psychic structure that activates when we find someone we consider valuable and irreplaceable. It is not something a man consciously decides to do. It is an automatic response of the unconscious when he recognizes in you someone who awakens his deepest instinct for care and protection. The eighth and perhaps most revealing sign is consistency over time. Jung observed that we can fake almost any behavior for a short period, but our true self inevitably emerges over time. A man can simulate interest, attention, and care for a few weeks or even months, but if there is no genuine emotional connection, eventually the mask will fall. A truly involved man maintains the same energy, the same interest, and the same attention consistently. There are no typical cycles of coming close and pulling away that characterize superficial relationships. He does not show intense interest for 2 weeks and then disappear for days without explanation. His behavior is consistent, reliable, and predictable, not because he is monotonous, but because he is authentic. Now that you know the revealing signs of a truly in-love man, based on Carl Jung's studies, it is time to understand what this means directly for your life. This knowledge is not just theoretical. It has the power to completely transform the way you relate, the choices you make, and how you interpret male behaviors around you. If you have a man in your life who consistently demonstrates these 8 signs that I have just revealed, understand that this is extraordinarily rare. Many people go through their entire lives without experiencing such a deep connection. What you have in your hands is a bond that transcends physical attraction or superficial compatibility. It is a resonance at the level of the soul, which Jung would call an encounter of unconscious minds. On the other hand, if you are involved with someone who does not demonstrate these signs or only shows them inconsistently, it is time for an honest reflection. I am not suggesting that you immediately end the relationship, but rather that you understand the fundamental difference between a fleeting interest and a true emotional involvement. Many women waste precious years of their lives waiting for a man who only feels superficial attraction to develop a deeper connection. Jung teaches us that true love does not need to be forced. It manifests naturally when there is real unconscious compatibility. You might be wondering, what if he shows some signs, but not all? Jung believed that true love is a holistic phenomenon that affects all aspects of behavior. However, every person expresses their emotions in a unique way. The most important thing is consistency over time and the authenticity of these demonstrations. A single genuine gesture is worth more than 1,000 empty words or fabricated behaviors. Now take a look at your own life. How many times have you ignored your intuition about a man's true feelings because he said the right words? How many times have you been swayed by promises that were not backed by concrete actions? The knowledge I have shared today ensures that you will never again be deceived by empty words or by your own hope that he will eventually become emotionally invested. The truth that Jung discovered, and that I am sharing with you now, is that a man who is truly in love does not need to be convinced to be present, to be reliable, or to show that he cares. He does it naturally, driven by unconscious forces more powerful than his rational will. If you need to beg for attention, create rules or ultimatums, or constantly question his feelings, that is already an indication that a deep emotional connection simply does not exist. But this knowledge also comes with a responsibility. If you identify these signs in a man, it is crucial that you respond with equivalent authenticity. Jung believed that true relationships are a dance between two people who show themselves fully to one another. If a man is demonstrating genuine vulnerability, openness, and commitment, but you keep emotional barriers up due to fear or past experiences, that precious connection could be lost. There is something extraordinarily liberating about knowing how to read these signs correctly. You will never again have to question whether you are interpreting a man's feelings correctly. You will never again have to rely solely on words or promises. You will develop an unshakable confidence in your ability to distinguish between superficial interest and true love. This understanding also completely eliminates power games and manipulations in relationships. When you can recognize a genuinely involved man, there is no need to test his feelings, provoke jealousy, or use tactics to maintain his interest. You can simply be yourself, knowing that the connection is real and that you do not need tricks or strategies to keep it. Additionally, this knowledge protects your heart. Imagine how many disappointments and heartbreaks could be avoided if all women knew how to identify these signs from the beginning. How much time and emotional energy is wasted in relationships that never had the potential to become something deep and lasting? Jung believed that finding someone with whom we have a genuine connection is one of the most transformative experiences of human life. It is not just about romance or companionship. It is about personal growth, spiritual evolution, and the realization of our highest potential. When a man demonstrates these 8 signs, he is not just saying that he loves you, he is offering the opportunity for a journey of mutual self-discovery and transformation. We have now reached the end of this profound revelation about what happens in the male unconscious when a man truly loves a woman. Now I want to hear from you. Have you identified any of these 8 revealing signs in the behavior of a man in your life? Or perhaps you have noticed their absence in someone who claimed to love you. Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could illuminate the path for other women who are facing the same doubts that you once did. If this content has opened your eyes to a new understanding of relationships, do not keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with friends who may be misinterpreting male signals or emotionally investing in men who only show superficial interest. Sometimes a single piece of information can save years of suffering and confusion. Give this video a like so that this knowledge based on Carl Jung's studies reaches more women. Your simple gesture can help other people find the answers they are looking for about the mysteries of male behavior and true love. And if this video has sparked your curiosity about how the mind works when we fall in love, do not miss our next video. People fall in love with you for only 2 reasons. Carl Jung. In it, I reveal the 2 unconscious forces that determine why some people feel irresistibly attracted to you while others remain indifferent. It is the perfect complement to deepen your understanding of the mechanisms that govern love and attraction. Click on the card appearing on the screen to watch it now.